The sun rose over the rugged lands of Mesopotamia, its golden light slicing through the morning mists that clung to the hills of Ellasar. Arioch, the king of this ancient land, stood upon the high terrace of his palace, eyes cast toward the distant horizon where smoke often curled from distant watchfires. He was not a king of leisure nor luxury, but a warrior forged in the fires of conquest and cunning diplomacy. His hands bore the scars of battle, and his brow was lined with the weight of ruling a city carved from dust and ambition. Ellasar, a once modest city-state nestled between rivers and deserts, had grown under Arioch's rule into a place of strength and influence. Traders passed through its gates with spices, weapons, and woven goods. Its walls were guarded by soldiers loyal not just by duty, but by fear and admiration of the man who led them. For Arioch had the aura of command, the air of a man who believed the gods had chosen him to shape the destiny of nations. In those days, the region was caught in the turbulence of power. The great kings of the east, Amraphel of Shinar, Chedorlaomer of Elam, and Tidal king of Goyim, had formed an uneasy alliance. These four kings had long imposed their rule over the cities of the Jordan plain, including Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela. Tribute was demanded, and for years, it was paid. But rebellion brewed like a storm behind quiet skies. The five kings of the plain, each grown fat on trade and pride, refused to pay further tribute. They believed the alliance too far away, too fractured, too proud to retaliate. But they underestimated the fury and resolve of the Eastern Coalition. It was Arioch who stood at the center of this brewing tempest. Though Chedorlaomer of Elam was the suzerain, the acknowledged leader of the alliance, Arioch was no mere follower. He was a king of keen perception, who understood the fragile dance of loyalties and the opportunities born of war. He had forged strong ties with the other kings not only through treaties, but through shared spoils and military campaigns that had left villages smoldering and resistance shattered. When the call to arms came, Arioch did not hesitate. He summoned his generals and blacksmiths, called forth his chariots and footmen. From the hill forts and riverbanks of Ellasar came men with hardened eyes and the scent of iron and oil on their skin. The banners of Ellasar, marked with ancient symbols of the moon and flame, were unfurled and marched westward. The campaign that followed was brutal and swift. The coalition stormed through the land like a flood. They laid waste to the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in Shaveh Kiriathaim, and the Horites in the mountains of Seir. Each victory was a statement, a warning, and a message to the defiant kings of the west. Arioch, atop his horse, led his warriors with the precision of a seasoned tactician. He was not given to speeches or boasts, but his presence alone ignited fear in his enemies and resolve in his soldiers. Behind his eyes burned a vision of empire, of Ellasar not just as a partner in the coalition, but as a rising force to one day challenge Elam itself. At last, they arrived in the valley of Siddim, where the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah had gathered their forces. The battle was fierce. The valley, filled with tar pits and treacherous terrain, became a trap for the defenders. Some kings fled, others were captured. Arioch's forces swept through the plain, plundering the cities and capturing wealth, livestock, and people. Among those taken was a man named Lot, the nephew of a mysterious wanderer named Abram. This, perhaps, was Arioch's greatest mistake, though it seemed a small matter then. For Abram, a man of peace and pasture, rose with sudden fire. With only a handful of trained servants, he pursued the invaders by night and attacked with divine precision. The coalition, including Arioch, was taken by surprise. Their camps were scattered, their plunder reclaimed, their plan shattered by a shepherd warrior driven not by greed, but by justice. Arioch, wounded in pride if not body, withdrew to Ellasar. His name faded from the annals of Genesis, swallowed by the silence of history and the shifting sands of time. Yet his story echoed in the memory of those who remembered the rise and fall of men who defied God's chosen. In Ellasar, Arioch's statue may have once stood tall, carved in basalt and flame, but time erases even the boldest kings. All that remains is a name, a shadow in Genesis 14 verse 1, and a whisper of a time when kings waged war, and a shepherd dared to defy them.